Fame, fortune, recognition. These are the dreams that drive so many to pursue a life in the spotlight. But behind the glitter of Hollywood and the applause of millions, there's another side, one filled with loneliness, debt, and regret. In this video, we'll take a closer look at 10 world-famous celebrities, actors, musicians, and performers who once had everything: fame, money, admiration. Yet, despite their success, they each faced a tragic downfall, ending their lives with little or no money. From old Hollywood legends like Bela Lugosi and Judy Garland, to music icons like Michael Jackson and Marvin Gaye, their stories reveal the dark side of fame. Join us as we explore the lives of 10 unforgettable names who rose to greatness and died penniless.
Wow. Bought this one, this chess set.
How much is that one? Only 89,000.
Can you put that on the list?
Of course.
1. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye rose from Detroit's Motown scene to global recognition. In the late 1960s and 1970s, he released landmark albums, What's Going On and Let's Get It On, that sold millions and established him as a leading voice of soul music. At his peak, he enjoyed large recording advances, profitable tours, and a lifestyle consistent with a top-tier artist of the era. Yet, personal troubles, including expensive divorces, substance problems, and chronic disputes with the IRS, steadily eroded his wealth. By the early 1980s, he struggled with unpaid taxes and legal bills and was reported to be living modestly with family. In 1984, after a tragic family dispute that led to his death, Marvin Gaye left behind little in liquid assets, though his musical legacy would continue to generate income posthumously. 2. Judy Garland. From Hollywood icon to financially drained, Judy Garland captured the world's imagination as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, and later as a concert and film star. In her prime, she commanded substantial salaries, sold out concert dates, and enjoyed international fame. By mid-career, she was earning the kind of income that made her one of MGM's most valuable performers. However, Garland's earnings were undercut by exploitative studio practices, relentless touring to repay debts, and repeated financial mismanagement. She suffered from substance dependence encouraged by studio routines, endured costly divorces, and faced large tax liabilities. By the time of her death in 1969, she was deeply in debt, performing often to pay obligations rather than to build savings. 3. Mickey Rooney, a lifetime on screen, a lifetime of financial strain. Mickey Rooney was child star, teen idol, and veteran actor across nearly 9 decades and hundreds of films. During the 1930s and 1940s, he was one of the highest paid and most bankable stars in Hollywood, enjoying homes, endorsements, and steady studio income. Despite decades of high earnings, Rooney's later life was marked by multiple bankruptcies, lawsuits, and family disputes that drained his resources. Multiple marriages, poor investments, and alleged mismanagement left him with only modest savings near the time of his death in 2014. His life shows how sustained success does not automatically produce lasting financial security. 4. Corey Haim. Early stardom, later hardship. Corey Haim became a household name in the 1980s as a teen film star, appearing in hits that brought him significant short-term income, celebrity status among a generation, and the trappings of early success. At his career peak, he enjoyed the lifestyle common to young Hollywood actors: publicity, fan attention, and steady casting calls. But Haim's life was increasingly affected by addiction and unstable professional choices. Work became irregular, legal troubles and health issues mounted, and he spent his final years struggling to find steady roles. When he died in 2010, he was reported to be in difficult financial circumstances, a sad outcome for a performer who had once been widely celebrated. 5. Nikola Tesla, brilliant inventor, modest final years. Nikola Tesla was a towering figure in the history of electricity and radio. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, he developed pioneering alternating current systems, early radio technologies, and countless laboratory demonstrations that altered modern life. At certain moments, Tesla received generous funding, patents, and public acclaim. He traveled in elite scientific circles and demonstrated inventions to wealthy backers. Nonetheless, Tesla's business dealings were often disadvantageous. He signed contracts that ceded profitable rights to others. He invested in speculative projects, and he neglected the practical business side of invention. Over time, his funding dried up. Tesla spent his final years in relative poverty in New York hotels, focused on experiments and public lectures rather than on accumulating wealth. He died alone and with few assets, despite an intellectual legacy that would later prove immeasurable. 6. Billie Holiday, artistic brilliance amid persecution and poverty. Billie Holiday transformed American music with her expressive phrasing and emotional depth. In the 1930s and 1940s, she commanded top fees for jazz clubs and recordings, at times earning sums that placed her among the better-paid singers of her field. Her performances and recordings opened doors artistically and financially that were rare for Black performers of the era. Yet Holiday endured systemic racism, abusive relationships, and legal persecution related to drug use. A conviction led to the loss of performance rights in key venues, dramatically reducing her earning potential. By her final hospitalization in 1959, she had only a small amount of money in the bank and very limited cash on hand. She died impoverished, even as her recordings continued to influence generations. 7. Gary Coleman, a child star's wealth that slipped away. Gary Coleman became one of television's most recognizable child actors in the 1980s, earning large per-episode paychecks during his time on Different Strokes and enjoying the perks of early stardom. For a period, he had access to substantial income, which allowed for expensive purchases and a high public profile. Unfortunately, Coleman's family and management arrangements were fraught. Legal battles over his earnings, costly medical care for a childhood kidney condition, and diminishing adult roles contributed to severe financial decline. After years of lawsuits and dwindling work, he filed for bankruptcy and entered low-paid employment. When he died in 2010, he possessed very little in savings. 8. Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi's portrayal of Dracula made him an international star and brought him a level of fame that included lucrative stage and screen contracts in the early 1930s. At his commercial peak, he enjoyed steady film work and the social standing of a classic Hollywood performer. Yet the same role that made him famous also limited his future. Constant typecasting and an increasing reliance on narcotics undermined his career. His later work was mostly in low-budget productions. Lugosi died in 1956 with minimal assets, remembered forever for a role that both defined and confined him. 9. Joe Louis. Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber, dominated heavyweight boxing in the 1930s and 1940s, earning substantial purses and national admiration. He used a portion of his earnings to support family and community causes and became a symbol of American athletic achievement. However, generous giving, poor financial advice, and large tax obligations left him vulnerable. After his boxing career, he struggled to maintain income and took on lower-paying work, including exhibitions and publicity roles, to make ends meet. By the end of his life in 1981, he had little of his earlier fortune left, despite a public status that had once been immeasurable. 10. Michael Jackson. The King of Pop achieved unparalleled global fame as a performer, songwriter, and entertainer. From his early success with the Jackson 5 to solo albums like Thriller, he generated enormous record sales, sold-out stadium tours, and lucrative endorsements, making him one of the wealthiest entertainers of his generation. For decades, he lived in expansive homes, maintained a large staff, and financed ambitious projects. Yet the later years of his career were marked by legal battles, costly personal expenditures, and business decisions that increased his liabilities. At the time of his death in 2009, Jackson faced significant financial and legal pressures. Contemporaneous reports indicated he had substantial debts and complex contractual obligations. In the years after his death, the estate negotiated deals, earned major posthumous revenue, and repaid creditors. But at the moment of his passing, Jackson's personal liquidity was severely constrained. His life remains a stark example of how even immense earnings can be offset by liabilities and legal risk. If these stories offer a cautionary lesson, they also remind us to separate the human being from the public image, to see the artist, the inventor, and the person beneath the headlines. Thank you for watching. If you found this video meaningful, please subscribe for more thoughtful findings of the real lives behind public legends.